It, it might take a few seconds here.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll see. We'll play it by ear because if I can do my whatnot at 6, I'll just do it at 6. But we'll play it by ear.
Yep. Welcome, everybody. We are live on YouTube. What's today? Monday? It is Monday, isn't it?
December 2nd, Kent. You're in December. You're the last month of 2024, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that we will talk about an end of the year conversation. Well, I'm sure we'll do that in time. But we have three and a half weeks left before we are in 2025. And all of the great things we've been talking about in paper gold and personally in business, things should start happening.
Yeah, we could definitely put a few topics together for our last show of the year. Wrapping things up. Let me look at the schedule. December 30th is a Monday. That's perfect. And the 23rd, so we don't got to worry about Christmas Eve. That's a Monday.
So you
So
you, you don't want to be live at 11:59 on Pick Our Brains going into the new year with all of our people.
do a special Tuesday night show. Probably not. Probably not. Though I won't be doing anything else, so I could just as well.
You'll be fast asleep like I will be.
Yeah, yep, for sure. Uh, the other night I went over to my brother's house and I was out till like 10:30 at night, and that was like, holy crap, it's way past my bedtime. Okay. Welcome everybody to episode 12 of Pick Our Brains with Kent and Max. We are live every Monday night at 4:30 Central, 5:30 Eastern, etc., etc., etc. 1:30 Hawaiian, if you really want to know. This is just a show where we talk about books, buying and selling books. I like to collect. Max doesn't, but that's okay.
Don't eat apples.
Yeah, don't eat apples. That's Max's health advice of the day. Apples are bad for you.
We talk
Well,
about sourcing, we talk about
mhm.
buying, we talk about selling, we talk about shipping, everything it is about selling books. There's TCAT. TCAT,
T-Cat's in the house. Hi, T-Cat.
everything,
Um,
everything involved in the used book selling business.
and I will just say I sell on eBay and now Whatnot. I have two Whatnot shows come or three Whatnot shows coming up the next 3 Tuesdays. I'm Animal at 52. Max, how many platforms are you selling on?
eBay,
Yeah,
whatnot, Amazon, Instagram. That's it.
only four. Only four.
Well, yeah. I mean, for four,
Yeah,
four of the major platforms.
you do lots of wheel and dealing local
Oh,
and people
yes, yes,
online. You're
yes.
always
There's always, yes, there's always
if
something else going.
if you want to buy art books, give Max a call. We got a new person, and I don't recognize this name, Larry. A little backstory on you guys. How do you know each other, etc.
Oh, that's a great story. I don't even know if we've ever spoken about that.
I don't think so. No.
Maybe in Paper Gold we have.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll let you do it, but I think if you're going to tell the story, you have to talk about who sent me off to you in Destination Unknown. I think that's where we have to start.
Yeah. Okay, so Max started a YouTube series called Destination Unknown, where he interviews booksellers. Probably about 6 months ago, he reached out to me and interviewed me for his show. I think first it was
Phil, Phil
Phil,
was
Phil
number
the Book
one.
Peddler on YouTube. Then it was Midtown Books, Eric Poppenfuse. And then it
Mhm.
was me, Eric referred me, and then I referred Max to Ken Sanders in Utah. Ken Sanders Rare Books. He's a huge name in the book industry. So Max is Paper Gold Podcast on YouTube. Definitely worth checking out. I think your Common Ground finds on Instagram and
Mhm.
whatnot and eBay.
Mhm.
But I will have all his links in the description of this video
So,
later.
so I interviewed you.
Hmm.
We did an hour-long interview that probably could have went 4 hours,
Yep.
and we just started a friendship from that. And now we talk several times a day about books and life and books and life.
And I will say the next step after that was you had me come talk to your Patreon
Oh,
group,
that's right.
Paper
That's
Gold,
right.
which is just a group of about 150 individuals. that just want to learn about buying and selling books. So I went and talked to his group about my eBay auction
Mhm.
strategy and stuff like that. And then I joined the group, and I've been a member for 5 months, maybe,
Oh, more
something
than
like that.
that, I think.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
we just started this weekly YouTube show 3 months ago.
Where we just want to be very nonchalant, no rigor about it, and just talk about books we talk about books every day, and we just wanted to include the public in some
Hmm.
of our conversation and some of our thoughts on book selling and book buying and book sourcing and everything else.
Can you see the chats on your end?
I can. We got
Okay.
T Cat and M Donnelly. M Donnelly says, hello, have you gentlemen, they call us gentlemen, they don't know us that well. They wouldn't call us gentlemen. Have
No.
you ever heard of oiling or conditioning leather books? Is it a recommended practice? Great question, too.
Yeah, absolutely. If your leather books are starting to get a little dry, you definitely want to oil them. And I think like standard is to oil them every maybe 10 years. The leather starts to get a little dry. I was buying this fancy cream from Italy that was really expensive. And then that they quit making it. So I reached out to the person that made it and asked if they had any suggestions for other creams to put on your books. And I'll go grab what I use quick.
Mm. Do you have an affiliate link?
No, I do not. But this stuff is much cheaper. I think it's maybe like less
Center
than
it, center it. There you go. There you go. Picard.
uh,
Okay.
Picard, and they have a couple different options. And this stuff is used for like horse tack leather books. I'm trying to think like leather jackets and stuff like that. Now there's a couple different this is their leather dressing. And then this is their antique leather dressing. I tried this one first, it worked great, and then I tried this one and it worked great. I suggest this stuff. And basically what I do is I just use my finger. You can use a cloth to um rub a layer on. And I don't know if this is the best practice, but this is what I do and it works great. I've sold
You should do it right now live. You should do it.
let me see if I can find a scuffed up dirty leather
Do
book.
a little bit. Let's see a before and
Yeah.
after.
Show you my fancy
That's
technique.
great.
Uh yeah, this is something that most people probably don't know about. So this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna get a little bit on your finger, nothing too crazy. Got your dry old leather book, and I rub it on, and then I usually put a pretty hefty layer on, and then you go back afterwards with the cloth to remove any crazy excess. So yeah, maybe I should make a full YouTube video on
That
how
would be
how I do it.
interesting. Sure. With the
And
before
actually,
and after.
I just got some big old leather Bibles that, they just look nice and clean when you oil them up. It kind of darkens the leather, gets rid of any like scuffs and stuff like that. Maybe I should make a full video. And I don't know if I'm doing it correctly. It works for me, and I'm very happy with
Well, if
how
you
they
do
turn
a
out.
video, you're gonna find out rather quickly if you're doing it incorrectly.
Yes, there will be tons of comments, and I mean, there's a million different things you can use as far as oils and stuff. This stuff is made for old leathers, so I would definitely give it a try. It's worked great for me. I use it on my own books, so hopefully I'm not steering
Yeah.
people wrong.
You should try to do that next couple weeks or so. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, put it on my to. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll put it on my to-do list after. If you all don't know, last week I went and rented a U-Haul, picked up 100 some boxes of books from a local estate. Then I had 15 boxes come from a wholesaler in Texas, and now I just got back half an hour ago, and there are 90. I picked up 97 boxes of religious books today, so I'm a little swamped.
Well, I'm glad you showed that, Kent, because one of my goals and one of my teaching practices for Paper Gold members in 2025 is to really teach them the art of buying larger collections.
Yep.
Not that I want anyone to get out of the idea of cherry picking, but because we talk about scaling so much, the quickest and easiest way to scale is to buy a large collection. And so I'm glad you showed that. So you said that's 97 boxes?
Yep. And then there's probably about 15 more boxes that I got to go pick up next week. And it is, I think me and you both know this, when you're buying quantity like this, um, you're definitely going to pay a lot less, because especially people that want to move a whole collection and you got to take it all, you can pay a lot. Like, I mean, in some cases, they will give you the books if you take them all. And then just the profit margin, it's a crazy amount of work. This is probably maybe a month worth of work for me now. Um, but the profit margins are great. There was probably 6 huge leather Bibles that I maybe would have paid $100 to $150 each for those alone. Um, so you definitely get a better deal if you buy in crazy bulk.
But even though it's a month's worth of work, I look at it more like, look, you now have a month's worth of work sitting in your bookstore. So you're not out there trying to find something. You're not out there cherry picking. You actually have the work in front of you now. So in so many ways, it's also a time saver to scale up like that.
Yeah, yep. You know how it is. We hear from people all the time that will go out sourcing, and usually if I go to the local antique stores, I'd be lucky to buy a box or two and spend all day going through the antique store. Same with, I buy a lot of inventory on eBay. I gotta have to scroll for an hour to maybe buy one or two things if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
So the amount of time, I know there's some people that are hesitant to do sourcing because you need the space. And then you have to have some cash handy to buy these big collections. So there's a few things that make it a little bit more difficult. But I'm saving weeks worth of sourcing here. I countless hours that it would have taken to
And because you do daily auctions of at least 30 books, you now have this type of book in front of you, and you don't I think you get to put your mind at rest a little bit of, oh, what books will I have for next week?
Yep.
You already know where they're coming from now because they're right in front of you. Now
Yeah,
you
I can
just
just focus
yeah,
on listing. Yep.
yeah, you just have to call those 30 that you want for that day, but at least they're in front of you right now. And with Paper Gold members, I'm really going to be pushing the idea of buying collections and how to do it, because there is an art and a way to do it that we're going to get into with Paper Gold members.
Yep. Okay, we got a couple questions in the chat. Everyone, feel free to leave as many questions in the chat as you want. Anything about books, collecting, buying, selling, anything. TCat wants to know, Kent, how did I get into collecting?
Hmm.
So when I was in like middle school, I grew up on a little hobby farm and I like to go to auctions and stuff. And I just started collecting old, mostly farming and veterinary books. And then, I would buy a collection or buy a couple boxes or whatever and sell the ones I didn't want. Or if I got a duplicate copy, I would sell the less nice one. Um, and that's how it turned into a full-time book selling business just in college to make a little bit of money on the side. And I love old farming and vet books, but I collect Americana, cookbooks, books about I like Christmas books, as Max knows. I just saved a few from the last collection I bought. Um, yeah, so I just started old farming, and vet books was my main
Yeah,
interest
but
back in
you
the day.
also you love you love very fine bindings, and you love
Mhm.
children's books.
Yep.
You also love the classics, the world classics in fine bindings.
Yep. Yep.
And you have become a self-taught professional in understanding fine binding and all of the variants that go with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I spent so many of my years not doing books, although they were always in my life. And it took me many, many, many years to finally start selling books. It's funny because I was collecting at one time. I would go to thrift stores and flea markets and just look for highly collectible books without the faintest idea of trying to sell them. I was just aware of them because of a job I had working in a rare bookstore for many years. So it was such a different time back then going to a Goodwill. I mean, you know, 5, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you could always find great books in thrift stores every time, every time. And now it's so few and far between.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons you want to help people learn about books is
Yeah.
because the maybe just general resellers or someone that wants to get into start their own business. Everywhere you go, every thrift store, every flea market, every auction, every garage sale is going to have a pile of books.
Hmm.
And usually they want $1 a piece for them. That's unbelievably standard is $1 a piece. And you can buy them for nothing and sell them for hundreds of dollars in some cases. So that's why, I mean, you will sell anything you can get your hands on.
Hmm.
But books, I think, are the most accessible to the average person.
But when I was doing my collecting back in the 90s, the thrift stores, there was 4 books for $1. You would, I mean, I look at what it's turned into. It's amazing to see what it's turned into. But I mean, I would fill up my shelves and never even thinking to sell them. I never, even though I sold books, working for that bookstore, I never thought of online sales until probably the mid 90s.
Hmm.
Such a strange trip. It was always around me, but I never ventured into it.
Yeah. When did you start your eBay page?
I would say I started selling on eBay about 2013 or 14. So not that long ago, a decade ago.
Yeah.
But I was collecting books and garnering and getting books in the 1990s. I mean, I would just go to thrift stores, find what a cool book was, and put it on a bookshelf. So something was tapping me on the shoulder. I just wasn't listening.
Hmm. All
Larry
right.
says, "How do you come across these book buys?" Which is a great conversation, especially for Paper Gold members.
Yep. Well, I think for me, I have a bookstore, and that's been my main uh way of people find me because they search rare books or bookstore in Wisconsin, and I pop up hopefully, and then local people stop in. Do you have some tips for I mean, I would say one of the things you teach in the Paper Gold group is to reach out to estate sale companies.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, the easiest way to find book collections.
Right, because sad truth is when people die, books need to move out of homes a lot of times. And reaching out to those estate sale companies, they don't like dealing with books. They want to get rid of them. And if you develop those relationships with the estate sale companies, they will call you, as they call me, and they will say, "We have 8 shelves of books. You want to come in before the sale and see what it is?" They'll send me a few pictures, and I usually buy. Even if I don't want them, I buy because I want to get the phone calls over and over again.
Hmm.
Um, and I'll make the money work somehow, some way. But estate sale companies not only are the best way, but it's also, I believe, the wave of the future, because it's getting more and more competitive to find estate sale companies who want to deal with you, because it's not just you. There's 10 other booksellers contacting them now.
Yep. And one of the first things Max has you do when you join Paper Gold Group is make a business card, whatever. It can have your eBay page or your stuff like that. But then also some people make business cards that just say, I buy books. Here's my name and phone number. And you hand them out to the estate sale companies, thrift stores, auctions, all that stuff, antique dealers that you know. Hand out these cards, and you're guaranteed to get some people that want to work with you.
Yeah, you're gonna get a call eventually. It's always gonna happen. The more cards you put out, the more business you get.
Yeah,
Like
you
we
could even you
always
could
say,
even go to a flea market and hand one out to every vendor there because they all
yep.
find books in there, whether they're buying storage units or whatever, and usually they don't want to deal with them. But if they have someone like you that they know will come by a truckload or boxes
When I
of them.
when I go to the flea market, they know, they call me the book guy. Come here, book guy. Come here. I got books. I mean, they call me. They hunt me out when they see me, and they bring me to the back of the truck, and we go do what we do. And so many of my greatest purchases, and I don't mean one book, I just mean getting a lot of different books, have come from those connections with the business card.
Yep. Yeah, actually, I handed out a business card at an auction. over 3 years ago. It was an auction, just an antique store going out of business, and I got to chit chatting with a guy, and he works for an estate sale company, and I gave him a business card, and now I think last month, so a few years after I went to this auction, that business card I handed out got me at least access to buy a collection.
Larry, are you a bookseller? Larry's asking good questions. I wonder if Larry's a bookseller or someone who wants to be a bookseller.
Hmm. Or are you just a collector like me?
A collector who likes to sell to support their habits.
That's basically how it started. Is I was spending too much on books and figured I had to offset it a little bit. Max has a Whatnot show coming up here shortly. Definitely check him out. Common Ground Finds on Whatnot.
Mhm. Vintage sports memorabilia, books, magazines, media guides, programs. Quick show, just a quick little show.
What about tomorrow? Tomorrow is Tuesday.
Tomorrow,
What do
I
you?
have my Faith Farm religious book show at 10 a.m. from Faith
Okay,
Farm. And then I have a 1 o'clock memorabilia show. So two shows all before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 and 1.
perfect. Nice, easy day for you.
Yeah, a couple shows. I was watching a YouTube channel earlier today and somebody was talking about, and they're an everything seller, but they were talking about doing 3 shows 5 days a week.
Wow.
That's how big the platform is growing on Whatnot. The platform is growing where it can support one person doing multiple shows.
Yeah. And I mean, most of your shows, whether they're book or signed memorabilia, I mean, range anywhere from a couple $100 up to 1,000. And a lot of them, it's just a quick hour long show, half hour. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna try 3 Whatnot shows the next 3 Tuesdays, see how they go. Um,
All
and
the same subject.
well, tomorrow night's show is antique books, so
Okay.
that's the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Next week will be mostly antique and vintage religious books.
Mm-hmm.
And then the week after that's going to be antique kids books because I have about 20 some boxes in the back storage room of antique kids books from the last big book haul. M. Donnelly says, I think Amazon started as a bookseller. Yep, I think they did, right?
Yeah, Jeff Bezos went to high school in Miami.
Oh, wow. I just saw an interesting clip of him from many years ago when he first started. Someone from I think it was Russia or Belarus or something like that. They mailed him cash
Mm-hmm.
in a disk drive because they knew that their customs people would have stole the cash if he just mailed him an envelope with some cash to buy a book. Cash was one of their accepted modes of payment back in the day when they first started Amazon. And he mailed him the book, but kind of crazy.
All right. Okay. So you got a fan. Kent, Larry says, collecting now. I watch Kent's auction almost every day and have bought a bunch. Max, can you give me eBay site info? I'm going to put
Yep.
that in the chat. Hold on.
Yeah. Put your link in the chat.
Link. I'm just
Larry,
typing the name. I
I'm
can't.
trying to think. I'm so bad with names, but there are some of my buyers' names that I see at least every week when I'm mailing them a package, if not multiple times a week. Yep, Common Ground Finds. He doesn't do auctions, but he has over 18,000 listings on eBay.
A few books here and there. A few books.
Hmm. Yep. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum.
It's going to be exciting with the Paper Gold members really getting into this too, because as I push it a little bit on them, when they do get that, it's always exciting. I remember when Rebecca, who was very new to book selling a couple months ago, she bought like 200 books from an estate sale. And she was so excited and smiling and just gleaming because she did it. If you remember, Kent, she was shy about asking. And
Yep.
I
Yeah.
sort of got on her a little bit and pushed her in the right direction. And it happened. And now it's all she talks about is selling books.
Well, and I think how it went, she went to an estate. She's been to several of these guys'
Yeah.
estate sales and whatever pays $1 a piece. And then there's the $5 table. So she was just cherry picking. And then, yep, one time she mentioned to him that, hey, I buy books, gave him a card. And I think she was able to buy most of the stuff and then also do the cleanup after the sale. Uh,
T-Cat says for children's books, what are you looking for when you buy?
Good question. So most of the books I deal in are pre 1900, but I will venture into the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s for books. What am I looking for? You can always find Bobbsey Twins and Tom Swift and Trixie Belden and stuff like that. And those also they all sell and they sell great. The ones you really want to look out for is I think would be Alice in Wonderland. That's the hottest selling kids book ever. What
Wizard
else
of
for kids
Oz,
books?
all
Yep,
the
Wizard of Oz books.
which
Yep,
is not just one book, many, many books.
yep,
Laura Ingalls Wilder, Little House on the
yep.
Prairie.
Chronicles of Narnia. That's one of the hottest selling ones.
Anything illustrated by N.C. Wyeth.
Yep, or Arthur Rackham.
Yeah,
Arthur Rackham.
Arthur Rackham, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's more the illustrator than the book.
Yeah. Anything with fairy tales with Hans Christian Andersen of the Grimm brothers. Those are really hot sellers. I'm trying to
And
think.
and Donnelly says, is paper gold just for sellers or collectors as well? Well, it's really geared for sellers and resellers. But we have a lot of resellers in there who are also like Ken, also collectors. But there's a little bit of instinct to sell. So I would say it's not mainly for resellers, but its purpose is to resell.
Yeah.
And Larry says, I'm in Northern California. Good bookstores are few and far between, but that's a good thing. That's a great thing to get into. Yeah.
It's good for buyers and collectors, yeah. But I would say I'm in central Wisconsin, and I usually have to drive an hour and a half to get to another bookstore. There's a few that I like that I go to multiple times a year that are the one in the Twin Cities is over 2 hours. The one in Broke was 2 hours. The one way up north is 4 hours. So yeah, I mean it's not ideal to drive 4 hours to go to a bookstore, but I guess. T-Cat loves Alice in Wonderland. T-Cat, I got a few extra special copies hiding in the back, the book safes in the back. I'm gonna have to pull them out and put some pictures on the Discord for you.
Oh, T-Cat would love
Not
that.
for sale, not for sale for any price. Sorry.
You better tell T-Cat that first, please.
I suppose I could price them, but then I would have to price them at a point where I could buy them again. And some of them, there's one that it's the most beautiful copy of Alice I've ever seen. It's from the 1880s, and I don't know if someone offered me, I don't know what I would realistically. I wouldn't take 1,000. I don't think it's irreplaceable.
No, it's not irreplaceable.
It is in my heart. Do you want to wrap it up and get your whatnot started?
I'll do my whatnot at 6 o'clock. Very nice to have Larry in the group today. Very nice, and M. Donnelly and T-Cat as always. Look forward to seeing T-Cat on Thursday night.
Mhm.
If anybody has any questions, Ken, where do you want to send the questions to?
They can put them in the chat after this video. You can leave a chat later, and we will answer those questions next week.
And we love questions. Kent writes them down. We talk about them, and Kent and I are religious about answering questions. This is what we love to do.
Do you want to talk about our end of the year show?
We're going to do a giveaway.
Yes.
We're going to do a giveaway. Yeah, we're going to do a giveaway.
Max is going to figure out the technology of anyone that leaves a chat on do we want to say the December 30th show?
Yeah. December 30th giveaway.
Okay.
We're gonna do something special too, Kent. I'm telling you now, we're gonna do something special because the people who we have on this show, they've been following us very early on. And so we're gonna reward them with a giveaway. So we're gonna do something where we give them something that's valuable and memorable.
Yeah, whether it's maybe an antique book or some Easton Press or
Going to be
something good.
very nice. It could be a box of books that you and I combine on.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah,
special.
I'll put something together. You put something together. That will be our last show of the year, Monday, December 30th.
We may have a special guest. I want to keep throwing that out there.
Okay, we may have a special
I
guest.
know we're still trying, but we'll see.
Let me flip a coin because there's a 50-50 shot we get the special guest.
It all depends on the weather. We know that.
Yeah, lots of things.
All right,
All
I'm
right,
gonna go.
thank you all. We appreciate you.
Bye bye.